keep a whispering lore of the captains who never came home. And the gulls overhead cry of treasure and dread, where the reefs hide a kingdom of bone. But the breeze tastes the spice and the gamble feels right when your heart's set on freedom's bite. Raise a toast, stake your claim, let the world know your name on another Caribbean night. I sail from a cove where the warm trade winds blow and the silver blue dolphins glide, where the rum's always strong and the nights run long and the tide is a thief at your side. When the moon's riding high and the lanterns are low and the waves start to shimmer bright, come aboard, cast away, let the sea have its say on another Caribbean night. Caribbean nights, like Caribbean days, more often than not, they're wilder than not, in the boldest of ways. Caribbean nights, neath Caribbean stars. Oh, rogue with a grin, could win or give in, out there past the bars. Shore keep a whispering lore of the captains who never came home. And the gulls overhead cry of treasure and dread, where the reefs hide a kingdom of bone. But the breeze tastes the spice and the gamble feels right when your heart's set on freedom's bite. Raise a toast, stake your claim, let the world know your name on another Caribbean night. Caribbean nights. Caribbean nights.
When I started this project, I didn't realize how much of an undertaking it would really be. It's been a learning process, to say the least, but we're almost ready for launch. My team and I wanted to make sure that all of our ducks were in a row before we really got started. All of that said, the Discord is officially live, and I will begin sending out invites via the GoFundMe page messaging system. If you're one of the amazing people who donated to the pre-launch GoFundMe campaign, which is still up, by the way, you'll get a private message from me over the course of the next few days. The GoFundMe is still accepting contributions. Meanwhile, our art director Thatch and I are finalizing the layout of the Kickstarter page, reward tiers, and stretch goals so we can finish what's needed to launch the official Kickstarter. And remember, if you donate to the GoFundMe page, you get your name on a special thank you page in the book, as well as access to the Discord to help us build it. Thank you all very much for your donations, encouragement, and kind words. We're gonna make something awesome.
And now, a word from our sponsor, though not really a sponsor. We are doing this ad free of charge for the Norseforged gathering. This May, the Forge fires burn brighter than ever. Norseforged Gathering 6 returns to New London, North Carolina. 3 days of craft, community, and the raw power of tradition. Join makers, musicians, and myth seekers for workshops, live forging demonstrations, epic performances, and a marketplace stacked with handcrafted gear. Whether you're a seasoned smith or a curious newcomer, there's a place at the anvil for you. May 22nd through the 24th. Tickets and full schedule at northforgegathering.com. Also, with the community, there will be stage performers, including the grandest and most greatest bagpiper of them all. Allie the Piper will be performing at least one of the 3 days. She's going to be there all 3 days. The Harp Twins and the Wolfgang Twins. They are a harper and drum set twins. Are going to be featured musicians at the Norseforged Gathering 6 lineup. We're also going to have live creators in our creators garden kind of thing. I don't know. I know Queen of Vikings is going to be there. I know Chambers Deluxe is going to be there. I know the Copper there's going to be a bird girl there. Copper Sprite, I think her name is. There is going to be what's his name? Hama! Hammer guy. There's going to be a hammer guy there. I know his name. His name escapes me at this time. Tank Tolman. There it is. Tank Tolman. Tank Tolman will be there. There's going to be a nerd prom. There's going to be mead drinking. There's actually going to be a special mead that I helped create from Moonjoy Meadery. It is called the Pirate's Plunder. Yes, it is. There will be encampments. We have the Fighters Guild, the Bards Guild, the Mages Guild. We have the Pirates Guild. We have mermaids and sea winches, and a teeny monster is going to be there. Full schedule for the gathering is going to be released tomorrow. Nice. Thank you, Teeny. He's so nimble, even his name is... Yes. Turok is Cooper's bird friend. Yes. Turok the Copper Sprite. Thank you, Teeny Monster. Anyway, that is the advertisement. Camping is on site at Camp John J. Barnhart and the general facilities or festival amenities as well. Tickets are still available. Tickets will only be available online. There are no at the gate tickets this year. Taruk. See, TD keeps me on my toes. With that being said, welcome. I need to not do that. Hold on a minute. Let's do that. I had this still set up for last week. I didn't move anything. Haha, there we go. There we go, everybody. Ha! We're back. This be our 51st episode of Rogue Bard Advice. We are a D&D TTRPG sports everything nerdcast, if you will. At this moment in time, I'd like to get back to our roots and give a few shout outs. I want to shout out and thank everybody for being here. I want to thank Aquatic Messiah, Kirk, Teeny Monster, Kevin. I know Puffy Cheeto is listening. Ron and Ruby Herbert, if they're listening, if they if they happen to be in. Jim McKinsey, welcome in, everybody. I know Jim's not here right now, but we want to get back to our roots. So I want to thank them, and I want to mention, Kirk gets on me about it all the time. I want to mention, please do, if you like this content, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell to make sure you get the notifications that we're going live. Yokai Lover is in. Welcome in. Make sure you hit that notification bell to know that we are live so you could join us on time and on target. And share this podcast out with your friends. It helps. It helps get new people in, and people find it enjoyable. And it's not a bad way to spend an hour, maybe two. Sometimes when we have special guests, it runs for 3 or 4 hours. As last week did. Especially when the topic is something like Amelia Earhart last week. By the way, last week was our 50th episode. We have made it halfway to Bard Advice's 100 episodes. So, a yapathon, exactly. It wasn't your fault, Kevin. I didn't say. I think we went 3 hours and 45 minutes. 3 hours, 15 minutes, something like that. Yeah, it was a long episode, Kirk. But I thank everybody who stayed, who listened to the episode, who I hope everyone got something out of the episode. There will be more episodes with me and Archeo Wolf. As we discussed last week, there may be episodes where there's a panel of us archaeologists on here. So we just have to work those in. But tonight, wait a minute. Wait, I don't even have those. How do you have those? Anyway, I think she's just trying to get my goat. But it's going to take a little more than that to get my goat, teeny monster. I don't even speak to the woman who has those. So. No, we had fun with it. We had fun. I could go and talk for hours on topics and subjects that you guys want, as long as you guys find it interesting. So. Anyway, but tonight we are getting back to our roots because there is D&D news. But we won't be getting to that just right now. We have 2 questions tonight. One from Puffy Cheeto and one from our good friend Kirk. As always, thank you, Kirk. Your questions are a legend. Wait for it. Dairy. And with that being said, our first question for the evening comes from Puffy Cheeto. Yes, Kevin, D&D. There are news coming out of D&D. We'll get to it. But our first question comes from Puffy Cheeto, and it is, if my rogue character had to give a TED Talk, what would the topic be about? And the same question for my other characters. Well, Puffy Cheeto, I clicked the wrong button. Well, Puffy Cheeto, thank you for asking me such a ambiguous question. My rogue character. I have many rogue characters. The first of which is the one you see here, Captain Bartholomew Bones McCoy. How to make friends. No, that is a TED Talk for a necromancer, Kevin. That is a TED Talk for a necromancer. Or would that be how to build friends? but that's good. No, as my pirate character, my TED talk would definitely have to be something related to captaining a ship, or how X never ever will mark the spot when you're burying the booty treasure. That right there. How to bolster your friends when they're down. Nice. Aquatic Messiah. Just hold that thought on your animal companion. Does that mean you're a ranger? Or a druid? But for my rogue thief character, it would be a TED talk on how to avail yourself to the prison guards after being the most wanted criminal in all the realm and still get off scot-free. Immunity deal and everything. Get off scot-free. And still control your criminal empire. That would be TED Talk number 2. My TED Talk number 3 for my sorcerer character would definitely be, I don't care how big the room is, fireball is never the answer. Or fireball is the answer. Depends on what's in the room. But yeah, those are good. Those are TED Talks that I would have for my characters. Is it that still how to make and use friends? Well, if Aquatic Messiah is an animal trainer, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think Teeny's character's TED Talk would be how to make it look like you're 10 foot tall when you're only 5'3" or 3'5". Oh, you mean mine? No, no. Making friends does sound like an artificer, Kirk. It absolutely does. I'm not making friends. I'm availing myself to the law. I'm surrendering myself to the paladin and the law, and still having control over my criminal empire and going scot-free and having them do all my dirty work. Like having them go and capture all of the people who are my competition that I'm giving them up for, which is part of my immunity deal. I mean, there may be a paladin I could befriend. I mean, Donald Wrestler was a paladin that I befriended. No, not dirty work, I mean paperwork. I mean dirty work like going and capturing. So, okay. For those of you who are not in the know, my rogue thief character his name is Colberth Carnion, which translates to Raymond of the Red. And he is a level 5 in one campaign and toned down to level 3 in the new campaign that still hasn't started yet. There's news on that front, by the way. But he is based on Raymond Reddington from the Blacklist. So, not dirty work like grave robbing or grave liberating, dirty work like killing off my competition in the criminal underworld or arresting the competition in the criminal underworld and letting me absorb their organization into my own. Fireball indoor equals no fireballs, please. Outdoors equals do we care if a fire starts in the area? Yes, a list written in black. Though with my character in the game that hasn't started yet, my character is from Faerun and we are not in Faerun because I got greedy and stole an artifact, and that artifact activated and transported me to the Feywilds, at which point I met somebody in the Feywilds who, for the price of the artifact, like he wanted the artifact, he would take me home from the Feywilds. Little did I know that it wasn't my home we were going to, but his. So now I am in a new, different land that I have no knowledge about. And circa the early 1800s, technology-wise. And I have to start all over for a criminal enterprise. I'm just a lowly thief, not a mastermind criminal. Though I still am a mastermind criminal, but I have no enterprise. And all the criminals in this new land answer to a guy named the Butcher. Now, whether he's a real butcher or just that's his criminal name, who knows? But all the criminals answer to a guy named the Butcher. Am I having other people give others black roses free? No. No, my character doesn't give roses. My character gives pepper balls or lead shot balls from something called a pepper box. Yeah. No, not Billy the Butcher. Though Billy Butcher, William Butcher, you can go ahead and call him Billy yourself, but put respect on that name. Give him William Butcher. I haven't seen the final season yet, so please don't ruin anything. But no, not good for seasoning sandwiches. Good for seasoning meat that used to be live and standing in front of you, threatening you, but not sandwiches. But yeah, so that's my character. But nobody in my party knows my character's name is Colberth Carnion. And if they watch this video, I'll deny it 100%. My character's name that everybody will know me as is Dr. Adrian Blackwood. Archaeologist and finder of artifacts. Blah, 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 blah. I'm a real simple guy. I'm not a thief. I'm nothing. I look for artifacts. I find artifacts. I find things of value. I don't know how to fight. I'm a rogue thief. I have sneak attack. I don't know how to fight. I need people. I need people to fight for me. So I'll pay you to be my bodyguard and make sure that I never die. Ah, but I left you on an island, and as I'm leaving, on my boat, I'll shout the name to you. Anyway, I hope, Puffy Cheeto, I hope that answers your question. And I know I gave a little bit more than what the question wanted, but you know what? We got time. I'm not worried about it. Got nothing but time. Going to be awkward and someone asks, is there a doctor in the house? I'm not that type of doctor. I'm a doctor of archaeology, not a medical doctor. Sorry. Though, I don't have a ton of questions to go through. I only got one question this week. It was from Kurt. This Puffy Cheeto question was a question that was a holdover from weeks ago. But, Puffy Cheeto, I hope you got a good answer out of there, and I hope you're feeling better. I know this week, Puffy Cheeto this week started work again, and it's been rough for her. Yes, a whole one Kirk question, though could be two questions. So, but yay for Puffy. Absolutely. A Kirk question is like 10 and 1. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But, shall we get to Kirk's question? Because once we get through Kirk's question, we have D&D stuff to discuss. So let's get on with Kirk's question. Kirk, your question was... You read that AI is being used to decipher ancient texts. Is this real? Is it as groundbreaking as it is being reported? Or is it just a marginal improvement being hyped to create or to generate clicks? And how do we know AI isn't deciphering, but then keeping details like ancient alien visitations or locations of hidden pirate booty secret to itself? Well, Kirk, before I answer the question, let me tell you, I just got done when I was in Florida the last 2 weeks I was in Florida. I had just got done building a class slash presentation slash usage document on how to use AI as a tool to do my job for where I work, for the government organization to whom I work for. Yes to everything Kirk said there. Yeah, Kirkisms, as ArchaeWolf said, I prefer Kirk questions are jam-packed. Neat. Do tell. Well, I would. However, the answer that I'm going to give you here explains everything. Yes, this is real. Researchers are actively using machine learning and neural network models to read, restore, and translate damaged or hard to read ancient text. Burnt scrolls, fragmented inscriptions, cuneiform tablets, medieval parchments, etc. These projects are producing useful, verifiable results that accelerate work that used to take specialists months or years, some even decades, to translate. AI is being used to restore and transcribe Models predict missing letters or words from fragmentary inscriptions and damaged manuscripts, producing ranked candidate restorations. Translation and dating. Some systems combine restoration with statistical translation and metadating prediction, likely date and region, giving historians a fast first pass. Image enhancement and reading under damage. Computer vision methods recover ink or impressions invisible to the naked eye. Multispectral imagery plus ML, machine learning. Is it truly groundbreaking or is it just hype? As you mentioned, is it generating clicks? Is it clickbait? Meaningful advance, but not magic. Groundbreaking aspects. AI scales tasks that were bottlenecked by a tiny number of specialists. Thousands of unread cuneiform tablets can be triaged and provisionally translated in hours, where it would take one specialist like me who studied the ancient language, which I did not, years or decades to translate one cuneiform tablet. That changes what questions historians can ask and how much material they can inspect. Important limits. Models make probabilistic guesses relying on training data, which can be sparse or biased, and struggle with text that have no close parallels or bilingual keys. Human experts still validate, correct, and interpret results. AI is a force multiplier, not a replacement. And to answer this question, could AI be deciphering and secretly withholding sensational facts? Absolutely not. Models don't have motives or secret vaults. Machines don't have motives. No agency or intent. Machine learning models are statistical pattern machines. They don't decide to hide facts. They generate outputs based on training data, architecture, and the prompt or input image. There is no internal secret vault or secret repository where model stores discoveries apart from its learned parameters. Practical checks. Outputs are saved, shared, and scrutinized by researchers, by me, by ArchaeoWolf, by our good friend Howard, Professor Howard over in the UK University in Chester. Sensational claims would be reproducible or debunked, likely by ArchaeoWolf, because he's the debunker of pseudoscience and pseudoarchaeology, and myself, by others using the same data or methods. Major projects, published methods, data sets, or examples so peers can verify results. If we debunk something, we send it out so our peers, other people around the world, Flint Dibble, Howard, I've got a friend, Wheelie Fun Guy over in Australia, they can debunk or prove correct our freaking analysis. Where secrecy can happen, a private lab could withhold the data set or results from public view. But that's a human decision about publication, not a property of the AI itself. Transparency and peer review are the safeguards here. How scholars verify the AI readings. Humans in the loop. Experts review AI restorations and translations compared with known corpora and check plausibility. Confidence scores and ranked alternatives. Many systems return multiple candidate readings with confidence levels so scholars can see uncertainty. And reproducibility and publication. Peer-reviewed papers, open datasets, and independent publications are how the field separates robust findings from error or hype. Bottom line, AI is a real and important tool for deciphering ancient texts. It speeds up transcription, suggests restorations, and helps prioritize material for human experts. It is not a mystical decoder that instantly solves every unread script, nor is it an autonomous agent hiding discoveries. The most reliable results come from AI plus expert scholarship plus transparent methods. That combination is what will produce trustworthy new readings of the past. What's going on in the chat? I saw it go move. AI translation will now tell me where to find the nearest Mayan bathroom. Woohoo. Maybe. Jim has arisen. You're a week late, Jim. I disagree with machines now don't have motives. We give machines the motives by how we train them and what goals we give them. Yes, but they don't have motives on their own. Genetic memory farms. AI makes us dumber, is stealing water needed for living beings, and is making electricity more expensive for the poorest among us. Oh, wait. Is that capitalism? Let's ask AI to tell us because we dumb. Genetic memory farms. You are not alone in that feeling. However, AI is just a tool. And it's the people that use the tool. And it's not necessarily making us dumber. Some of us use it to produce faster results, like me. I use AI at work when I'm writing up when I'm analyzing projects and I'm figuring out whether or not this project conforms to certain laws and regulations. And while I know what I want to say, sometimes when I write it out, it is not so eloquent. So what I do is I prompt my AI to write me a statement that is eloquent and that matches all sorts of baseline criteria that we need, and I give it the information and I give it the documentation that I need to pull from, and it writes me up the letter, or it writes me up an 8-step floodplain review plan, or it writes me up whatever. It's not making me any dumber because I have that information at my fingertips. What it's doing is it's helping me compile that information into a document that is legally defensible in a court of law. If we were to get sued or had to go represent this specific case in front of Congress or whatnot, there's a lot that I have to do. There's a lot that has to go on. But you're not wrong. There are still some people who say that and will not use AI because of that. AI is a useful tool, but I also agree with genetic memory farms. Living in a data center land, Northern Virginia. Cool that you've actually written about that. Yes, and I did a class about it because my organization actually has our own AI that we use. We purchase the rights to it. It is not public AI, though it still uses some of the public AI language AI models. And it's really interesting what they called it. My organization calls it DHS Chat or Darwin. Yeah, that's fun. But it's a real great tool and it really works. But it just happens, it just is able for me, it's something that I can use to push out my work faster. I could get 3 or 4 times the amount of work done by myself than somebody else who is sitting there struggling to write a 11 or a 7 to 11 page paper for an adverse effects letter to the shippo. So yes, but Kevin, there you go. I'm not using it as a crutch because, as what we discussed earlier, we still use human review. We still have human input to it. I use it so I can focus and get the document out to me so I can go through it and edit it and make sure it doesn't have all of those errors in it. So while it speeds up the writing process, there is still the human verification process. It's not like I'm using AI to create the document and then ship the document as is out there. So, but yeah, no, it's not necessarily a crutch, but it is a tool. It crushes your dream of an AI super pirate. I'm sorry, Kirk. Maybe in the future there'll be an AI super pirate. Maybe in the future. I agree with the data centers and the environment. You okay? But what are we going to do? It's the wave of the future. And being on the forefront of what I do, if we could learn something about a language in half the time or a third of the time by having AI model it into a language or translate it, we could learn so much more about our history, about the human race's history, not just history. There are a lot of, like I said, you guys, there are a lot of people who will not use it. Absolutely will not use it. While I don't like the data centers and their effects on the environment, I think a lot of it may be, while they still affect the environment, I think a lot of it is, nah, I'm going to keep that to myself. It's just a tool. It's like nuke or medicine, depends on how it's used. That said, there is the saying, know thine enemy. Maybe we should learn about it whether we like it or not. That's what I embrace, Kevin. That's what I embrace. And that's what I explained in my class that I gave for Darwin for DHS chat. But everybody's got their own opinions on it. And it goes a lot more, it goes a lot further than just that. So, but that was a great question, Kirk. Thank you for that jaunt down AI lane. Now, shall we get to the fun stuff? I think we should, because it's 9:40. The fun stuff being D&D Beyond has released a new Unearthed Arcana option for your characters. According to D&D Beyond, get down with your bad self as we explore villainous options. This Unearthed Arcana features 4 new subclasses and 2 paths of villainy. These options encourage players to embrace their inner anti-heroes and harness forces of evil through characters who walk these paths. Though characters who walk these paths can be of any alignment, call on these forbidden powers of demons and decay, titanic might, and wounding hellfire in defense of civilization, or use them to hasten its destruction. The new subclasses are as follows. For the cleric, we have the pestilence domain. The pestilence domain is a cleric of the pestilence domain, heralds gods of disease, famine, poison, and decay, unleashing plague as an act of devotion. The pestilence domain grants access to spells that detect and guard against poison, sickens others, cause crops to wither, and summon insects. Its unique channel divining effect, Plague Blessing, turns the cleric or an ally they touch into a conduit for pestilence, conferring exhaustion to nearby enemies. When enemies perish, clerics of this domain can cause them to burst with plague and spread one of two potent contagion effects. At the height of this subclass's power, the cleric can shapeshift into a swarm of plague-ridden pests to terrorize foes. That sounds awesome. Would its Circle of Pestilence for Druid make more sense? Well, no, because... Hold on a minute. Let's see what we... Even those who like A should ignore impact on water. Should see a component availability and jobs, though. You're right. I agree. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. UG versus Debs would be happy to see Kimberly Clark and the loss of their warehouse and product in Ontario, Canada. Let's see how they respond. Okay. I can kind of see these two topics are very connected economically. Yes. Now, Kevin. Circle of Pestilence for Druid make more sense? No. And I'll tell you why. Because they have Circle of the Titan. Why is that moving? I didn't move that. There we go. Circle of the Titan. Sometimes the best ways to fix the problem is to tear it down. Druids of the Circle of the Titan do just that, growing to seismic proportions to wreak colossal havoc. This druid can use Wild Shape to take on one of three monstrous Titan forms: a structure-stomping behemoth, a waste-spewing leviathan, or a healing insectoid. These forms improve in size and might as the druid gains levels, bringing greater destruction to their surroundings. At level 14, druids of the circle can grow to gargantuan size and swallow enemies whole. Druids protect the wilds. Clerics would call upon the horsemen. Yes! Fungal druids of cordyceps. That would be fun. Fungal hyphae animating corpses. Healing insectoid. Yes! Yes! Reminds me of the bugs of... What's that movie? What's the movie? Happens in space. There's a lot of bugs. Behemoth, Clifford the Big Red Dog. Yes, lots of bugs. I've seen it once or twice. Space something. Anyway, somebody in the chat will tell me what it is. Yes, that's it. Starship Troopers. You know, Clancy Brown was in Starship Troopers. And Clancy Brown be the voice of Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. Not Ender's Game, Starship Troopers. The bugs. I like the bugs. Anyway, we have two more subclasses to go through and the two paths. The paths are neat. The paths are awesome. And had I known this, I would have probably chosen one of these things to do in my game. Rawhide and Buckaroo Banzai. Kirk, you know it. Anyway, for the Fighter's new subclass, we have the Hell Knight. Hell Knight. Anointed champions of the Nine Hells. Hell Knights imbue their weapons with Hellfire, transforming them into glowing Hellfire weapons. With a Hellfire weapon, the fighter can deal fire damage and inflict debilitating and persistent infernal wounds. At higher levels, a Hell Knight can superheat their armor to erupt with hellfire. Their attacks overcome fire resistance, and infernal wounds deal explosive damage whenever the fighter rolls a 6 on their infernal wound die. By level 18, the Hell Knight can turn bad luck into good fortune, representing the infernal deals that devils offer mortals. Yes, that sounds awesome! Who doesn't like that? Does the Hellfire overcome immunity ever? I don't know. I'm just reading you what D&D Beyond has for these subclasses. They also have a free, so you could download the free Villainous Options PDF over on dndbeyond.com. And the final new subclass is Demonic Sorcery for the Sorcerer, of course. Demonic Sorcery embodies the corruptive magic of demons. Sorcerers of this subclass use their own bodies as conduits for their wicked power, or for the wicked powers of the abyss. Early on, this energy ruptures out of the sorcerer in bursts, which the sorcerer can use to reel in enemies and protect against attacks. Eventually, this unstable magic radiates from the sorcerer as an abyssal aura, corrupting reality around them and bringing the abyss to their surroundings. Enemies caught in this emanation must contend with caustic ooze, mind-affecting spores, and other effects inspired by the infinite layers of the abyss. The spells included in this subclass also take inspiration from these layers, and the demon lords who rule them. Confusion, for example, takes inspiration from the Demogorgon's gaze, while spells like Detect Magic and Dispel Magic appear in the stat blocks of many demon lords. Just Tiefling Bloodlight? Nah, I don't think so. It sounds more like Eldritch Knight for a sorcerer, or a warlock for sorcerer. Isn't this just Apparent Mind or something? It could be. Like I said, we'd have to put all of them side by side and see what's different and what's the same with all of these. But I like it. I really like the the Hell Knight fighter, if you want to be honest. But there are two villainous paths. Villainous paths offer new ways for characters to become icons of evil. Each path presents a selection of feats that allow a character to transform themselves into a Death Knight or a Lich. The path of the Death Knight appeals to martial characters, while the path of the Lich might attract spellcasters. I think going forward, anything published by Hasbro or WotC is stuff I am just going to pirate. I would rather actually give money to smaller companies. Yeah. It might bypass immunity, Kevin. It might. I don't know. I haven't delved that far into it. But let's talk about the two villainous paths. Let's talk about Path of the Death Knight first. Feats associated with the Path of the Death Knight bolster the character's strength and charisma. Necessary abilities for an imposing undead warrior. The character's vile power is represented by death points, a resource that can be expended to cast spells such as Wrathful Smite, Command, and Bane, with augmented effects. A character who completes this path is inured to mortal vulnerabilities like poison and exhaustion, and the character can hurl exploding hellfire orbs at foes. So you have exploding fireballs, and you're immune to poison and exhaustion. So a hellfire knight, Path of the Death Knight. I mean, sure, why not? Path of the Lich. Lichdom isn't just for wizards. Any character with spellcasting or pact magic, which is now all characters because all characters now have access to spells, can walk the path of the Lich. The first feat in this path, Lich Initiate, grants the character a spirit jar. I got a jar of dirt. A magical vessel unique to them that anchors their soul to the world of the living. I got a jar of dirt. This spirit jar allows the spellcaster consume the souls of humanoid enemies and use that energy to bolster their own arcane power. I say again, it's a jar of dirt. Much like the Lich they aspire to be, the character doesn't need to carry their spirit jar with them to benefit from it. When a character finally ascends to Lichdom, they become a fearsome being impervious to death, so long as they safeguard their spirit jar from the would-be heroes. Again, it's a jar of dirt! No, this does not sound like 40K or the Nazgul. It sounds exactly like the Lich King from frickin' World of Warcraft. But definitely it's a jar of dirt. So, oh, you're talking about the Pestilence Cleric? Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the Path of the Lich and the new Lich. But I think I'm going to download the Villainous Options PDF. Jar of Dirt is not different. Look, if you consume something, the souls of something, in a jar, is that not like you're cremating them and leaving their ashes in the jar? That becomes a jar of dirt. And if you put your heart in the jar of dirt and hide it away from somebody, aren't you safeguarding your spirit jar? Which becomes your impervious to death, which makes you Davy Jones? Sounds like jar of dirt to me. Exactly. As long as you safeguard the jar. How about 10,000 years in a cave of wonder to hide your jar? You know? That would give me such a crick in the neck. Either way, sort of weird that they're making becoming a lich easier. Well, you know, I've never thought about becoming a lich in any game. I've never even knew that was a possibility. But if it is now, does that mean Davy Jones was a lich? That's an interesting question. Sounds suspiciously pro-lich. Who knows? Who knows? Also weird that they're giving everyone spellcasting. Yeah, right? So, if you haven't heard, I believe all classes now have access to small, like, cantrip spells. Which means anybody can be a lich now. Not just sorcerers and wizards and warlocks and druids and clerics and paladins. Hell, sounds like everybody already has spells because rogues have spells that work for them. Freaking, I mean, look, if a rogue had knock, If a rogue had access to the knock spell, who would need freaking lockpicking tools anymore? Guys, it's 9:57, and we got back to our roots because this came through my email, not the Rogue Bard Advice email, but it came through my regular email because I subscribed to D&D Beyond and whatnot. Is it your heart that was cut out of your body really a phylactery, or is it a Horcrux? Or is a Horcrux a phylactery with extra steps? I think. Well, isn't a phylactery blood based, not spirit based? It does cheapen the magic if every class can do it. It does. The knock spell doesn't actually knock. It unlocks everything, right? It unlocks magical knocks or magical locks. It unlocks regular locks or just magical locks, right? Knock makes a very loud sound. Well, here's the thing. Can you not, with the knock spell, can you not cast it from a distance? And if you can't, can you cast like Mordekainen's helpful hand or Mordekainen's helpful hand and then use the hand to cast knock? Because if you can, then you could cast knock from cover and have somebody open the door from the inside. "60 feet of range." See, it's a distance spell, which means you could cast knock from cover. Somebody opens the door thinking somebody's there, and then you have the ranger from a distance shoot the person in the face with the arrow. And guess what? The door's open. The rogue can then just sneak on in. You get frustrated playing rogues because of that sort of thing? Why when other classes can do my job with higher odds of success? It would be better cast silence than cast knock? Nope. I don't think that would work. I think knock would overpower silence. Because knock has to make the sound, right? Knock has to make the very large knocking sound to unlock the lock. We will discuss that more next week. If knock has a verbal component, then the spell just wouldn't work. But I don't think knock has a verbal component. And if knock had a verbal component, and you took the feats that I like to take when I'm a wizard, they're metamagic feats. They are what are the 3 metamagic feats? Empower spell, quicken spell, and maximize spell. No, not those 3. We have Silent Spell, Reach Spell, and Still Spell. Stilled Spell can be cast with no somatic components. Silent Spell can be cast without verbal components. And Reach Spell would be able to cast normally has a range of a touch at any distance up to 30 feet. So if it's a touch spell, yeah, that's the magic feats that I'm talking about. That's Silent Spell. I always used to take those with my sorcerer. So if it's in the Silent Spell, it will still go off, but no sounds will happen. You could also cast it with Silent Spell, not silence, but Silent Spell, and you could cast it without verbal components, and you could cast it with Still Spell without somatic components, without having to move your hands. So yeah, all you would need would be the material component for the spell to happen. So yeah, no. I like and that is why I like playing 3-5 and not 5e, because a lot of these metamagic feats, because these are feats, they're not spells. A lot of these metamagic feats got nerfed for 5e. I have not played a rogue sorcerer yet, so I don't know how busted OP they are. I've always played war mages, and I've always played, and now I've just been getting into playing rogues, as we know. But so I don't know how busted a rogue sorcerer would be. But I would not even take on. Look, I don't know why people insist on dual classing at low levels, because you get so much more. If you're a level 10, you have a lot of access to higher level spells or higher level stuff than you would if you were a level 3 rogue, level 5 sorcerer, level 2 cleric. If you started, if you took a rogue to level 10 and then started working working on your sorcerer. Now, these are 3-5 rules, okay? Here's the thing about 3-5, which they changed in 5e, which I like, but I don't like. In 3-5 and earlier, if you took a class to begin with and then wanted to dual class or multi-class into something else, you could not go back and take classes in your first class anymore. Once you multi-classed into your second class or your third class, that was your primary class. You could not you could not go back and take levels in, like if rogue was your first and you took sorcerer second, you could not go back at any time and put more levels into rogue. You were stuck at a level at a sorcerer. 5e, they changed that. They allow you to switch levels. You can take one level here in rogue, and then your next level you could take it in sorcerer. Right. It's fun for one-shots, but not for long-term campaigns. Exactly. Never multi-class without a character story-based reason. Example, I had a fighter who is insanely hostile against goblins. He started taking monk levels with the idea meditation was control. Okay. There were special classes, too, that had regular class prerequisites. Yes. Yes, like War Mage, you had to have X amount of classes in Sorcerer. You also couldn't be a War Mage unless you were a Sorcerer, because one of the prerequisites for being a War Mage was innate magic ability, not wizards. Wizards could not be War Mages because they have a tome. You have to be able to cast your spells without reading a book. You avoid multi-classing purely for min-maxing. Yes. Prestige classes, yes. But now all the prestige classes that we had as 3-5 are now subclasses of different base classes, which to me is pointless. It got rid of the prestige of having these subclasses. With that being said, you love min-maxing power gaming just to see what works, but building based on character story is much better. Absolutely. Especially when you have a long-term campaign going. Campaigns that last 3 to 5 years. Or in Kirk's case, lifetimes. But with that being said, we have 4 battles that we have to get to this week. And those battles are Riddick versus John Spartan, Beatrix Kiddo versus Ethan Hunt, Speed Racer versus Frank Duke. Now, I gave you both the real guy and the Jean-Claude Van Damme guy, but I'm going to make a executive decision on this one, and you guys will know why. And then you have Conan the Adventurer Conan the Barbarian from Conan the Adventurer, the animated, because I figure it's fair to go against Samurai Jack, who is animated. Now, with that being said, you guys in the Discord overwhelmingly made ultimate decisions. You guys in the Discord made Riddick win 80% of the time, and John Spartan 20% of the time on your voting. But what happened? Riddick, a night-adapted fugitive with enhanced low-light vision, is savage in close quarters fighting, expert stealth, improvised weapons, bolts, knives, 10 soup cups, high pain tolerance, and survival instincts. John Spartan is a hardened SWAT anti-terror cop. He uses heavy firearms and explosives, trained, disciplined close quarters combat, tactical planning, high durability, and willingness to use lethal force. Also, he can't figure out the 3 seashells. Riddick's plan is to fight into darkness or cluttered terrain, use stealth and ambushes, close to knife range, exploit Spartan's predictable tactical patterns, use traps and environmental hazards. Spartan's plan is to keep the distance, use suppressive fire and explosives to deny hiding spots, use flashbangs, illumination to negate Riddick's vision, force a firefight, or use heavy breaching tactics to flush him out. Have we ever seen Riddick use a gun? I don't think so. We will get there. You want to know the exact vote count? I'll tell you the exact vote count. Environmental effects: dark, ruined interiors, Riddick heavily favored. Open, well-lit urban areas, Spartan heavily favored. Industrial maze-like zones, slight edge to Riddick for ambush opportunities. Crowded public spaces, Spartan favored for controlled suppression and containment. Now the algorithm: chose Riddick to win 62 of the 100 times, and John Spartan 38. Riddick wins most fights when he controls light and terrain. Spartan wins when he forces open, illuminated engagements and uses overwhelming suppression and breaching tactics. Now, there was a question. The question was, how could Beatrix beat Ethan Hunt or Conan beat Samurai Jack? How many votes were there? Well, I will tell you. The vote count of all of these, because there's only 5 votes for Riddick and John Spartan. 4 votes to 1. I am sorry. I am going to call this person out. The one was Kirk. But Kirk has a... He really didn't care about Riddick or Spartan, so he picked a pair of D20s and rolled off. So the D20s actually picked Kirk's vote. For Beatrix Kiddo, there were 5 votes total. Well, not for Beatrix Kiddo, but for Beatrix Kiddo versus Ethan Hunt, there were 5 votes total. 3 votes for the bride and 2 votes for Ethan Hunt. I don't know if your vote was in there. Somebody only voted for one for one of these things. Because there were 5 votes for Riddick versus Spartan, 5 votes for Beatrix versus Ethan, 6 votes total for Speed Racer and Frank Dukes, and it's 6 votes total for Speed Racer, and 3 votes for Conan the Barbarian and 2 votes for Samurai Jack, for a total of 5 votes. Then it would have been a 50-50 match. Kevin, I don't think... Nope, I don't see any KGG votes in here. I don't see KGG votes for anybody. Now, I voted for Ethan Hunt, and Puffy Cheeto voted for Ethan Hunt. But Teeny's asking the question, how could freaking Kevin asked the question, how could Beatrix beat Ethan? It's because Teeny voted for Beatrix Kiddo. And Kirk, your logic was impeccable. Yes. So, that is everybody's thing. So, Beatrix beat Ethan 60-40 in the Discord. Speed Racer 100-0, which I am glad for, because I'll tell you why on that one. Conan the Barbarian beat Samurai Jack 60-40 also. Now, Beatrix Kiddo is a master swordsman, or swordswoman, with a Hattori Hanzo blade. Lethal hand-to-hand, extreme resilience, stealth, and assassination tradecraft. Single-minded focus on finishing a target. Ethan Hunt is an elite IMF operative, expert in infiltration, firearms, close quarters combat, acrobatics, tactical improvisation, and gadget use. Excels at planning and rapid adaptation. Beatrix plans to close instantly, use stealth and blade to end the fight in one precise strike. Exploit any moment Ethan is reloading or distracted. Ethan's plan is to keep distance when possible, use cover and firearms, use gadgets and team-style improvisation, even solo, to create openings. Avoid a single strike scenario. Beatrix Kiddo wins 57% of the time to Ethan Hunt's 43%. One strike lethality with the blade, stealthy assassination. Night, Teeny. We're almost done. We're almost done. Speed Racer versus Frank Dukes. Speed Racer is an elite driver with the Mach 5, full suite of driving gadgets, razor sharp vehicle control, split-second reflexes behind the wheel, and experience in vehicular stunts and traps. Frank Dukes, legendary full-contact martial artist, devastating hand-to-hand skill, extreme conditioning, knockout power, and tournament-tested durability. Also, he's a fraud. The real Frank Dukes is a fraud. And if you just Google Frank Duke's fraud, you'll understand why. So I would have given this one, even if the algorithm came out in his favor, even if you guys came out in his favor, this one was always going to go to Speed Racer. After I just recently found out that the original Frank Dukes is a fraud. The whole movie, Bloodsport, may not be based on factual events because it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be based on this guy's real life, but he was never in the CIA. He may know martial art, but a lot of the things he says isn't founded or can't be factual. Bloodsport was a huge dramatization, yes. But after winning the Kumite, if he did win the Kumite, he never worked for the CIA. So I don't know how much I trust him, but it was supposed to just be freaking Jean-Claude Van Damme. But you guys overwhelmingly wanted Speed Racer to win anyway, so Speed Racer wins. And then Conan the Barbarian versus Samurai Jack. Conan, animated, young, savage barbarian with exceptional strength, swordsmanship, survival instincts, and experience fighting monsters and warriors, favors brutal, direct combat. Samurai Jack. Yeah. Samurai Jack, master samurai, trained in many disciplines, exceptional swordsmanship, stealth, acrobatics, tactical patience, and experience against supernatural and highly skilled foes. Often wields a mystic blade capable of cutting through dark forces. Samurai Jack, according to the algorithm, wins 61% of the time versus Conan 39%. You guys voted 60-40, the opposite direction. So, how does our bracket look? Our bracket actually is starting to look good. So far, we're going to have Speed Racer versus... You know what? Let me do this. We're going to have Speed Racer versus Wesley. Michael Knight versus Riddick. And this is all in the next round. We still have more. We still have more to go for this round. Beatrix Kiddo versus Trinity. We still have X. We don't know who's going to face Flash Gordon. But we got Beatrix Kiddo versus Trinity. We have Neo versus Dutch. We have Jason Bourne versus Conan the Barbarian. We don't know who is going to battle Rick O'Connell. We have Jack Reacher versus the man with no name. Sarah Connor versus Matthew Quigley. We're still setting up Buckaroo Banzai's next battle. We have King Leonidas versus Angus MacGyver. Snake Plissken versus James Tiberius Kirk. Han Solo's next matchup is still in progress. Alex Murphy versus Jackie Chan. Chuck Norris's matchup is still in progress, as is Ashley J. Williams and his boomstick. With that being said, though, we have 4 more people or 4 more matches to cover. So I want to apologize to Kevin. If you looked on Friday, they weren't there on Friday. They weren't there in the Discord until Sunday. I completely spaced and forgot for 2 days. So That's why if you hadn't looked there all week long, you wouldn't have seen them. Sorry. I will make sure I get them in tonight, though. It was late when we left off last Friday, so. Uma Thurman's hot. What are you talking about? Uma Thurman is also hot. Oh, you work during the week. I'm sorry. I will be sure to get them in tonight so that you can get the voting in. But we have 6 contestants remaining. Let's see who gets selected this week. Wheel of Mortality. Turn, turn, turn. Tell us the next 2 that we will burn. Looks like it's going to be Ellen Ripley versus John Wick. First up out of the box. Ellen Ripley versus John Wick. Second Wheel of Mortality. Turn, turn, turn. Give us our next 2 contestants who will burn. John McClane versus Race Bannon. They are up finally. That is going to be a nice one. And now it's down to 4. Our next one is going to be Laura Croft versus Brian Mills. Laura Croft, treasure hunter, grave robber, crappy archaeologist. Brian Mills, a one-trick pony from the CIA, who's got skills he's developed over a lifetime of service. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't know where you are. But if you hurt them, he will find you, and he will kill you. Brian Mills, yes, from Taken. Liam Neeson, if you will. I've sent Ellen Ripley to her death. Look, it wasn't me. It wasn't me who sent Ellen Ripley to her death. But if we know anything about Ellen Ripley, she can survive death. I'll give you that, Kevin. But somebody in the Discord last week said that he was a one-trick pony. Jolie's the only Laura Croft. Who's the new one? Did Ellen hurt Wick's dog? That is a telling question. It's more telling, did Ellen hurt John Wick's dog and steal his car? We'll see. We'll see what happens. And our final battle for the night, which will leave our last 2 for for next week, not 2 weeks from now, next week, is Wheel of Mortality. Turn, turn, turn. Tell us the final 2 who are going to burn. Rooster Cogburn versus Bruce Lee. Apparently, this randomizer does not like Mel Gibson. At all. Haley Atwell and Sophie Turner are the other 2 Crofts? Huh? Okay, so that Haley Atwell voices Lara Croft in the animated series. And Sophie Turner is in the 2026 movie. I have not even heard of the 2026 movie, but as of a week ago, its filming has paused after Sophie Turner suffers a injury. She suffered a minor injury while filming Tomb Raider. And you guys are seeing everything that I'm doing there. But yeah, I agree. I agree. Rooster Cogburn was John Wayne. Yes, that's the Rooster Cogburn, not the James Brolin cut Rooster Cogburn. You were thinking the low-res Polycroft from the earlier Raider games? No. So yeah, John Wayne, who is also an anti-Semite, and Bruce Lee. Oh, no. John Wayne has no Gatling gun. John Wayne has his rifle. Rooster Cogburn doesn't have a Gatling gun. He has a long-range sniper or long-range rifle. He is a one-eyed drunk. Yep. But Bruce Lee is fast. We'll see. So our final two for 2 weeks, or for next week, well, not next week, but for 2 weeks from now, will be Xena versus Alice, Mila Jovovich, from the first Resident Evil movie, and Martin Riggs versus James Bond. So you have Mel Gibson versus the one and only true James Bond, Sean Connery. The game will be afoot, and he will take Letits now for $500, Alex. With that being said, we are at Chat. And what do we do during Chat? We give good things of the week. Now, I have a good thing of the week, and then it turned into a bad thing of the week. So, let's start with the good thing that I did this week. The good thing is, well, I have a few good things. The good thing is that I was able to work on my 66 Chevy pickup this week and get the rocker panels and the kick panel and the A and B pillar and the cab corner completed on the passenger side of the truck. I like Brosnan as James Bond, but Brosnan was only in 4 movies. Freaking Sean Connery was in 7. If we're counting Bond as by how many movies he was in, Sean Connery is the GOAT. But back to my pickup truck. So after I got the doors frames completed, I hung doors. Driver's side door hung very, very nicely. Everything was perfect. Passenger side door didn't hang so well. And it wasn't my fault, though part of it was. I misjudged the rocker panel on the front. I welded it just 1/8 of an inch too high. That's fixable. However, what's not fixable is the fact that when I bought this cab, I was not told that it was hit some time ago in the passenger side B pillar, and the B pillar is twisted. So when I put the door on there, You can tell that the B-pillar's twisted because the door doesn't want to close shut straight. James Roger Moore is the one you grew up with. Well, I grew up. Roger Moore was mid 80s, right? Because I grew up end of Roger Moore era, beginning of Pierce Brosnan era. Unless Dalton was after Moore, but I thought Dalton was before Moore. Anyway, so the bad thing for the week for me is now I have to purchase a new cab. So if anybody's got a line on a 1966 Chevy pickup truck cab, just the cab, for cheap, let me know. Also, today was the last day of my scheduled leave, so Monday I am back at work, though I will still be here at the Pirate House because I have a class next week. Yay, class. Good thing of the week, Artemis crew touched down and has boarded the planet Earth and is capturing it for the pirate moon they now serve. Yep. James is good thing of the week. In-laws house was put on the market today. And you already have an above all price up? Nice. Nice. But so yeah, so that's a good thing. I'm going back to work next week. And then hopefully, maybe not. I'll know more Monday on whether or not the following week, if I'll be traveling back to Florida, or because I have some leave scheduled for the end of May. Why? Because we are going here to the Norseforged gathering at the end of May. I have leave scheduled for that weekend, so I may not travel until after the gathering to the lovely state of Florida to go back to work on disaster. So, those are my good things for the week and the bad things of the week. Also, good thing of the week, we know that we are getting more episodes with me and I'm going to call it now my co-host, Archaeowolf, when he doesn't have to work and when he's available and when you guys send questions that I cannot answer. Kevin's bad things of the week are maybe turning good. It was having difficulty getting FMLA meds and also getting a property manager fix a porch light issue affecting me and your neighbors. But you think those issues will be resolved soon? Nice. Those are good things. Aquatic Messiah is down another few pounds, totaling 15 from a starting weight. Nice. You know, I hate the YouTube chat thingy now because I should know who Aquatic Messiah and Genetic Memory Farms are. Kevin, maybe. Maybe. I may be in the chat or in the Discord chat, but not for long. Just long enough to probably do the polls. So Aquatic Messiah's Rich River of Gold. Okay. Jim, did you just now join the Discord? I thought you were already in the Discord. You can ask. You can ask. I'll get to it when I can. Yeah, but it just said Lennox 10 just showed up. Oh, wait, no. Lennox 10 is not Jim. Lennox 10, or Jim was waving hi to Lennox 10. Well, welcome to the Discord, Lennox 10. Anyway. With that being said, that is it. We don't have any sports things to talk about yet because sports hasn't happened. Go sports ball. So, with that being said, this has been the 51st episode of Rogue Bard Advice, and I have been your gracious host, the Rogue Thief Pirate Archaeologist, Captain Bartholomew Bones McCoy, Chris, whatever you know me by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join the Discord. We already had one individual join the Discord tonight. Congratulations, and send all of your questions to roguebardadvice@gmail.com, and it could be anything related to archaeology, related to D&D, related to other TTRPGs, related to anything sports, related to things outside in the cosmos. Because we all know that you guys in the chat love those ancient aliens theories. But this has been Rogue Bard Advice. Next week, we will be here. Normal time, normal channel. And that normal time is 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Take what you want. Give nothing back. And always, never underestimate why the rum is gone. And next week I'll tell you why there shall be no more the rum is always gone comments. Because the rum is back. With that, I would like to tell everybody, have a happy weekend. Have a great evening. Get some rest. Watch this podcast. Put the hours up. And with that, I will see you all next week. Adieu.